Hello, and thanks for watching this little video on an introduction to dividing fractions. We're going to look at a couple familiar examples so that we can start to make sense of it, and we're also going to look for patterns like we always do. So if you want to follow along and maybe grab yourself your own paper and pencil or whatever, that's great. And if you want to just watch, that's okay too. So we're going to start with this first example here. We're going to think of 3 pans of brownies, fresh out of the oven, and we're going to cut them into thirds. So each of these rectangles here is going to represent our pan of brownies. So this is a pan, this is a pan, this is a pan. So we've got our 3 pans of brownies, obviously. And we're going to cut them into thirds, which shouldn't be too difficult to manage and visualize. So we're just going to cut each of these. Again, they don't have to be perfect, but we can visualize a third. So that one's cut into thirds, but it says each of them. So we're gonna cut this one into thirds also, and then also that one. Okay, and what I want to look at is, well, what do we have now? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces in this case, 9 slices if you want to think of it that way. So what we have is 3 whole, and what do? We split it into parts. What is that in math when we split something into parts? Yeah, this division. So what we really did was we divided it. And what do we divide it by? Well, it says we split it into thirds, so we divided it by 1/3, and we ended up with, like we just saw, 9 parts, or 9 slices again. So 3 divided by 1/3 gives us 9. So maybe, again, you can start to look for a pattern, start to see what connections or how the numbers are related. I bet you can see something. But we don't really know something is a pattern unless we see it happen again. Right now, it might just be a coincidence. So let's take a look at another example here. So we're going to switch over to this one. So now we have 4 chocolate bars, kind of like a Hershey bar, where it's already sectioned off. You can break it up into parts nice and easy. And we're going to take those 4 chocolate bars and we're going to split them in half. So again, we've got our 4 chocolate bars here represented by the rectangles, nice and simple. And we're just going to split them in half. So that's pretty easily done. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, never is, but we just want a quick representation. So we had 4 chocolate bars, obviously. And again, we split them into equal parts, so that is division. Yeah, so that's 4. And what do we divide them into? Well, we split them in half. So we divided by a half. And what did that leave us with? Well, I didn't do it yet, so let's figure it out now in case, we haven't already figured it out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we have 8 parts. So 4 divided by a half is 8. So if we kind of take a look, I guess we'll just clear the page here and take a look at our first 2 examples. So we had 3 divided by 1/3, and that gave us 9 parts. That was our brownie. And the one we just did, I'll switch colors. We just had 4 chocolate bars split in half, so divided by a half, and that gave us 8. So if you haven't, noticed a pattern, take a look now. Do you see a connection with the numbers? Do you see how they're related? Maybe think about multiplying fractions and what we did there, and it's kind of similar to what's going on with dividing with fractions. Did you notice that 3 times 3 is 9? And on the second one, 4 times 2 is 8. Well, that's basically what's going on. There's a little more to it, which we will get into in another video. We're not going to try to do too much at once. But that is, the basic idea with dividing fractions. And there's other ways we can look at it. There's some tricks like I was taught as a kid that we'll kind of get into a little bit. But now hopefully you see where it will come from. And then it's not just a trick to memorize, okay? So if we look at just one more example here, let's take 5 as a whole number, and we're going to divide it. What do you want to do? Let's do fourths. We haven't done fourths yet. So we're going to take 5 and divide it into fourths. And I wonder what that would be. Well, if we remember the pattern, that whole number times the denominator. So 5 times 4 is 20. Now, does that, here, we'll make some nice shapes here. Does that check out? Like when we kind of try to visualize, ooh, there's a nice rectangle. Holy cow. Let's start over. I'll try to go a little slower here. So we're going to get our 5, close enough, rectangles. They're not going to be perfect, but I'm not going to worry about it because we're just trying to make a visual here. So if I split them into fourths, again, they're not going to be perfect. And I understand they're not all the same. That's okay. We're looking for making sense of what's going on. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that does confirm what we thought. So if we start with a whole number and we divide it by a fraction, we can use that pattern, which we'll get into more later, but we know at least the basis of it, the foundation of it. So thanks for watching. I hope that made sense, and we'll make